You've spent 20 years grinding to the top. You've managed massive budgets and made decisions that shifted the needle for global companies. Then you step out as an independent expert. And here's a true story: a former VP of marketing with 18 years of experience. Someone who ran $2 million advertisement campaigns. Do you know what rate she set for herself when she started? $50 an hour. And here's the kicker: the clients still thought she was expensive. That's not a pricing problem, that's a psychology problem. If you charge $50 an hour for a brain that's seen 20 years of corporate warfare, you are not a consultant. You are a high-end hooker who's forgotten how to use a calculator. Charging $50 an hour isn't a bargain, it's a red flag. It tells the market that either you are incompetent or you are having a midlife crisis and forgot your own name. Today, we're going to fix your pricing and build a model that actually reflects your worth. Most executives are terrified to leave the corporate world because they're addicted to the safety of W-2 paycheck. But let's look at the math. As a W-2 employee, you are the most heavily taxed entity in the country. Uncle Sam bends you over and takes his cut before you even see the money. You try to live your life, pay the mortgage, buy the car, using whatever scraps are left after taxes. When you work as a fractional executive, the rules change. You are now a business. And the car. In corporate, you had a company car, most probably, and now you buy your own, but you do it with a pre-tax dollars. Under Section 179, if the SUV is heavy enough, you can write off the whole damn thing in year one. You're essentially driving a car paid by the money you don't give to the government. Then goes the house, a portion of your mortgage that you call the office, your internet, your phone. All of it becomes a business expense. And if we're talking about the retirement, in a job, you are capped at 23 grand a year. As a 1099, you can stash away up to 69 grand a year. So the bottom line is, earning 200 grand as a business gives you way more real purchasing power than a 200 grand salary. You're a tax-efficient machine now. So act like one. Lowering your rate to win a client is like, it's like agreeing to a second date simply because they said the restaurant was too fancy. You've started the relationship by establishing that your standards are negotiable. That never ends well, usually with you paying for the cab and crying in the shower. When a client says your $10,000 a month retainer is expensive, they're not telling you they can't afford it. They're telling you that they don't understand what the fuck they're buying. A full-time CFO costs a company between 300 and 800 grand in year one. And that's not just salary and your bonuses. It's also taxes. 30% extra just so they can have health insurance. The headhunter, that's $100,000 gone on day one to a guy in a cheap suit who found them on LinkedIn. The ramp up. They spend the first 6 months figuring out where the bathroom is and which assistant they're legally allowed to flirt with without getting a call from HR. You arrive on day one, ready. No recruiting fee, no parking spot disputes. You are, financially speaking, a total bargain. So, act like one. Let's get back to our VP and $50 an hour. Why did that kill her? Because here's what happens when you price by the hour. You are telling the client, my value is measured by units of 60 minutes. And then the client starts thinking immediately, how many of these units do I really need? And congratulations, you've turned yourself into a very expensive Uber, but without the mints or the interesting life stories. Your value is in pattern recognition and finding concrete solutions. You see a strategic error in 10 minutes because you already made that mistake on someone else's expense 10 years ago for the first time. The client isn't paying for your time. They are paying to not spend 3 years burning their money in a dumpster fire. So if you charge by hours, it's a very strong conflict of interests. You can do that in 30 minutes, and then you punish yourself, literally, because the faster you do the job, the worse that is for you. But the faster you do the job, the better this is for the client. This half hour of yours could save the client 3 years of suffering. Now the numbers. Your rate as an independent should be at least 2, maybe 3 times higher than your corporate hourly rate. Why? It's because when you work for yourself, you are the business, and you are the marketing department, you are the sales team, the IT help desk, and the person who has to clean the coffee machine. You won't be billable 40 hours a week. A realistic rate is 50%, maybe 60%. And the other 40-50% is spent selling your soul and running your ship. So note, the hourly rate in my calculator is strictly for reference. I will tell a little later about the calculator. It's your internal North Star to make sure you don't end up living in a van. It's not a basis for a negotiation. We negotiate always based on value. And the scope always go before any rates, always. If the client has a small budget, give them less of your time. Never charge less for the same thing. Once you reduce a rate, it becomes the new baseline. Forever. In their head and in the shitty stories they tell their friends about how cheap you are. To take the guesswork out of this, I've built a tool for you. In the description below, you'll find the Fractional Executive Pricing Calculator. No sensitive data needed. I don't really care what your last company was called or who you had an affair with, okay? The goal is to plug your past income and how much you actually want to work. As a result, it will give you your benchmarks. And then you can find out your ideal retainer size and how many clients you need to exceed your old salary while only working 20 hours a week. Moving to fractional work isn't about finding a new job. It's about building a portfolio of strategic assets. Don't be the VP charging $50 an hour. It's pathetic. Be the strategic partner who knows exactly what their brain is worth. Click the link, run your numbers, and find your baseline. And in the next video, we're going to cover the big one. How to actually sell these services so the client is happy to pay you rather than trying to haggle you down like they're at a flea market in Marrakesh. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell. See you in the next one.